Okay, the band ended at the same time. That's always a good start. But he's going to try to loop if I don't stop him. Okay, here we go. So that was called an Afro-Latin something. And the chords were sort of roughly a minor blues. By the way, if any of you listen to flamenco, have you ever noticed that flamenco is kind of like the blues of Europe? It's the same kind of chord changes frequently as the blues. They add a few extra things. They sometimes go into a Phrygian mode. But if you listen to the chord changes of flamenco, you'll find out that they're not so complicated. Flamenco is simpler than jazz. The finger picking's pretty fancy, though. So rhythmically, it's way more complicated than jazz normally is. But harmonically, simpler. I consider flamenco to be the blues. Although I'm not an expert. I haven't taken any flamenco lessons yet, but I think I will. Because that will be helping to fulfill this segment 20.8, which is called Instant Quartet. So here's the deal. I've been playing a drum track and playing bass along with it and keyboard along with it. And once in a while, I play guitar along with it, or you can use a keyboard to play a horn patch, or you can sing with it if you want to do a concert. And bottom line is that you can really be an instant quartet in today's world. And it could sound like a group of people. Hey, that was just 3 people, sort of. They were all running out of my Mac. The Mac was providing the samples for the bass and the mathematical models for the Bosendorfer piano, and the drum part created by a pretty low-cost iPhone app, which happens to also run on a Mac if you have an M-class processor. You can literally be a quartet, and it's hard for me to give a talk and sing at the same time, so I didn't actually try to do it while also playing bass and keyboard and keeping track of the drummer. Because remember, I have not heard this drummer before, and I don't know what I'm going to play until I play it. But if I wanted to be, I could be an instant quartet. In fact, I will be in a few weeks in Dewey Hall in Sheffield. And the purpose of an instant quartet, the reason this is really cool, is because you don't have to split the money. If you're an instant quartet, you could hire yourself out as a band and get paid more than as a solo artist. It's a good business model, being an instant quartet. And think of how much less time you have to spend rehearsing with other people, or giving them scores, or writing down the music, and the logistics of finding a place for the other players to sleep that night. It's way cheaper to be an instant quartet by yourself. It's logistically easier. You spend less time, you spend less money, you get paid more money. Basically, the business model is a better business model than being in a conventional quartet. Is it as much fun as being in a real quartet? No, of course not. But is it more fun to get paid 4 times as much and spend 1/4 of the time rehearsing? Yeah. So, you got to choose which way you want to do it. I think more and more we are going to see solo artists leveraged by technology. There are already plenty of duos that are, say, drums and guitar, or drums and keyboard, and one person sings, or maybe both sings. 2 people could make a lot of sound. And one person that's technologically leveraged can sound like 2 people. I've been doing it for the last hour here. I've been sounding like more than one person for all these last 7 segments. There are plenty of musicians making a living now without having a full band. Imagine how jazz bands with 17 pieces felt when supergroups like Cream came along with a bass player, a drummer, and a guitar player. With an amplifier, 3 people could make as much sound as 17. Actually, with an amplifier, they could make more. Think of all of the rock bands that only had 3 or 4 or 5 people, but could fill a stadium for 50,000 people. The original reason the symphony got so big is they had to get louder. They needed more decibels. They needed more instrumentalists to be playing. An instant quartet could be quite loud, and all you have to do is bring in an amplifier, which could be small enough to be fit into a backpack. You could be a quartet, which you're hearing here right now, not through the live instruments, but with a 50-watt amplifier that only weighs 17 pounds that fits into a backpack. And if you want to bring two of them, you can have one on your back and one in your hand. It is now possible, using technological leverage, for a single person to sound like more than one person. I spent a lot of time beating myself up about using a drummer that was a computer instead of a person, until I realized that almost all drum machines deal with 1, 2, or 4 measures, 8 at most. I'm dealing with 128 measures. I doubt that there's a single human being who could tell that it's looping, because you can't remember 128 measures of non-repeating rhythmic nuance and variation that's humanized. So by me using the technology, which has gotten fast enough and variable enough and humanized enough for me to be dealing with a 128 measure loop, I really don't think people could tell unless they're a composer or they're a percussionist or professional drummer. But for most of the human race, I'd say 99% of people could never tell that a 128 measure long loop is going on, especially since I don't loop it. I'm not even playing the whole 128 measures, I'm playing part of them. So instant quartets are now possible, and they weren't before, and you should try it. It's a lot of fun. And that's a wrap. 20.8